How could a new artist get worldwide reach for his or her songs?
So, Drushi, it's a very complicated question because it's changed. The answer to the question is it's changed over my short number of years that I've spent in music full time. I've spent only 7 years in music full time, right? And I mean, every hour of every day, I'm just doing music, right? Um, Now, in these 7 years, technology has just changed the way the landscape works, right? Right now, if I had to ask 5 people from 5 different continents who is, X artist, like let's say Billie Eilish, right? Some of you, of course, will know it, but if I asked my mom, who's Billie Eilish, she would not know, right? If I asked even my wife, she would not know, right? My point is, if you asked 20 years ago, if you asked someone who's Michael Jackson, everyone would know it. So what I'm saying is this, that global pop stardom has changed. It's absolutely changed. It's not that there are these global megastars who exist and everyone is watching the same news sources and has the same kind of understanding of, this is Maroon 5 and this is Michael Jackson and this is whatever, Prince or whoever. The world has moved from there. So I think right now, if Michael Jackson was starting off, he'd find it very hard to make the impact that he made in the 80s, right? As good as he is, or as good as he was. So my point is that the world today is not really looking for global and making global superstars, really, right? You might have a Lady Gaga who goes from music into Hollywood, and therefore she kind of expands her horizon a little bit. But out of the new generation, like the younger people like Billie Eilish, I think it's going to be very hard for people to really transcend and become global names for in the music sector. So I think the answer to your question is, I think people are trying to make do in the music business by earning more money from a smaller number of customers, rather than earning these massive amounts of money like the Rolling Stones would earn, or something like the Beatles franchise can still earn today. I think artists today will try, like, what this is my strategy as well. I go deep into a segment which enjoys my music, and within those, let's say 100,000 people or whatever it is, at a very broad level, if you can make enough money from even 1,000 of those people every year, that makes you a living. So I think, does that answer your question?
What is your motivation behind writing music, and what, according to you, is the first step to writing a song?
Wow. Okay. So my motivation for writing music is being able to express myself in a way that is more powerful than any other way I could have considered, to let someone understand what I'm feeling. And hopefully, that feeling is just a human feeling. It's not really individual to me. It's not a Dhruv Kent or a Druv Kent feeling. It's a feeling about beauty, about love, about finding faith, finding things which are just mystical and beautiful, and just hope, finding your own purpose, finding yourself. So these are beautifully deep kind of connecting points, which I think a lot of people in the world have those moments. So my idea of creating music is really to try and find the most expressible, musically beautiful, if that's not too strong a word, but the musically eloquent way of connecting that and packaging that so that it can connect with other people who are going through that same feeling. And what I do to write a song comes as in many different ways. A song comes as a little musical fragment. So it could just be, just a beautiful movement of, just how 2 or 3 notes fit together. It could be just a beautiful phrase which someone just says, and you're like, oh my God, that's just so poetic. For me, I've got to find a way to express that, or elaborate on that, or find a way to put that into a song. So but it comes down to the connection. And then, once you find those words, then you just sit down, like I have over here, a guitar, and I'll just kind of start, so I'll give you an example, right? So I have this song, A Little Bit of God, which I wrote in this room. And the idea was, I was just thinking about how the whole world is, all around you. Everyone's doing their own thing. But actually, at the end of the day, your whole world is here. It's all in your own brain. Your imagination of what's happening, your feeling of pain, your projection of what that other person is going to say to you and what they're thinking. So it's actually all here. So I came up with this kind of thought about, not in a religious way about God. I said that there's a little bit of God in you, and there's a little bit of God in me. And that became a song. So I picked up the guitar, and I literally just picked up the guitar, and I just started, and I just went from, there's a little bit of God in you, there's a little bit of God in me. So it just goes from, 4 chords, and anyone who's musically kind of understands music on this Zoom call, that doesn't need a lot of training to get that, but it's just the connection of finding something so delicate to express it beautifully through a musical thing. That's where the song came from, and that's how I kind of, that's why I make music.
Thank you, sir. We got a number of questions about who your favorite singer is and who you're currently listening to.
So, who am I listening to? I'm listening to an amazing singer from Kazakhstan who's been around for a couple of years, called Dimash. I don't know if who's heard Dimash? No one. Okay. Check out Dimash as a singer, right? We were talking about vocal power a little earlier. So this again comes back to my earlier point. There are no global superstars, really, in this generation. Okay, there might be a couple, but those will be the exception rather than the rule, right? When I was growing up, everyone knew who Cyndi Lauper was, everyone knew who Madonna was, everyone knew there was a very common cultural reference palette, which your parents' generation will understand. For you guys, it'll be from a very specific aspect of your life. But if you talk to someone in New York, they might not have heard of the same people. Earlier it was everyone was following the same global icon. So the world has changed. So coming back to the great musicians, I like great songwriting, right? So that's one aspect of it. So for me, the great songwriters, unfortunately, most of them are not very current. But I still love, if there's any fans of great songwriting on this call, you should be listening to Leonard Cohen. You should be listening to John Prine, 2 amazing songwriters who I take a lot of inspiration from. And if you see a bookshelf behind me, I keep a book on my table when I'm writing a song, just to kind of keep that visual reference of some of my gurus on lyric writing in front of me. In terms of vocal singing, George Michael to me was one of the greats. Freddie Mercury was one of the greats. And in the current batch, I think Dimash is an amazing Kazakhstani singer who's just in a different league. And my favorite singer of all time, I would say, has been Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. So Afreen, Afreen, you're right there. It's just an amazing singer. Different league.
The next question from the chat, someone's asking, do you think people my age, he's 14 years old, have what it takes to produce music?
Yes, I think, because actually computers and access to technology have become in fact, someone of that age almost has an advantage, right? It's like saying, can I beat my son in whatever video game he might be playing? I certainly can't. Right? There's no benefit that comes with age. It's only a hindrance, frankly, because I'm like looking for the old knobs, et cetera, and he's like already kind of kill me 3 times over in the game. So it's like I think certain aspects of technology are so easily available and so much more, I think, well understood by a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old and even a 25-year-old. I think they have that generation, and a young person at 14 also has a big advantage. But do you have the musical mind? You have to try and, but for when you're 14, make a song that is appropriate for you and for your friends. That's what I would say, so there's nothing wrong with that. I think people at 14 shouldn't be trying to make music for me. Make music for people at 14 and 16 and 18, and they will probably get it, so I would say absolutely nothing should hold you back.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is, do you make the lyrics first or the tune?
It depends on the song. So some songs come as lyrics. So when I wrote this song for my father, who had passed away many years ago. And I had this pent up kind of emotion about losing him when I was a relatively young man, and very special person, my father, very big impression in my life. And, when I became a musician, I realized that I don't find too many men having written songs to their dads. And I thought, it's kind of also a little bit of, dad and son don't have that level of bonding. Sometimes it's dad and moms. I mean, maybe this is a little more traditional Indian, and I'm speaking from my generation as well. But I was like, I don't like that. I want to actually have this song, and I don't find that this song exists really, who's talking about something that I wanted to talk about. So I had this tune. I didn't have any words, to answer your question. And then when I went to the chorus, and I was screaming out. It was a very emotional state. It was a very difficult song to write. And I was screaming out, and suddenly the words started coming. So it's a mix. It depends. Sometimes you just write a beautiful fragment, like I was explaining for a little bit of God, that was literally a line came of lyrics. And I just went to the keyboard over here, and I kind of played it, and it just started flowing into a song. In I'm Still Writing, this other song, it was really just an emotion and a melodic feel, and then suddenly bursting into the chorus, I just had something, So similar in the COVID song I wrote last year, which is Till We Meet Again, which is a song which I had been writing these lyrics. So I had the lyrics of the verse, and the lyrics of the verse go something like, "Will a crowded restaurant ever feel the same? Will the kiss of a stranger, ever have beauty again?" Because a kiss of a stranger is supposed to be a beautiful thing. And, now we're so scared of, infection and all these other things, which didn't cross our minds when we were even 3 years ago, So it was a very different thing. You might not want to kiss a stranger for various reasons, but infection wasn't one of them, right? Really. So my point is, there's a lot of beauty in that. And then when I reached the chorus, I didn't know what it was. And then I just literally started playing it, and the chorus just came to me, say, take this weight off my shoulders. I want to breathe again. Take this weight off my shoulders. I want to feel again. And take this weight off my shoulders till we meet again, kind of thing. So it was, and I knew what the emotion was. I just didn't know what it's going to be. And until I played it a few times, literally like 10, 15 times, suddenly, boom, it's come. So it depends.
Thank you, sir. We have an overwhelming number of people asking if you could play something for us.
Wow. Okay. That's very, very kind of you. You can put the money into the kitty. Okay. No, just kidding. What is let me, I hate Zoom for these kinds of things. I don't know if I have, what would you like, something specific you want to hear, or let me see if I can find something easy, which will communicate on Zoom. So this is a song called Higher Ground. And it's a song which came after a conversation with my mom. So I was telling her, in fact, how difficult it is to be a musician. And this happened about 2 years ago. I was telling her, and you know how we are all with our moms, we kind of leave all the difficult conversations with our moms when we're just complaining. And my mom was very sweet. She's like, she's a big music lover and big supporter of what I'm doing. So she's like, no, beta, you should carry on, do what you're doing. You found something which is amazing. So I was like, that's beautiful. And then she said, I can't tell you where you're going or what you're going to be, but while your music is flowing, I know that you found your higher ground. And, so words to that effect. So I kind of wrote the song after that conversation. So let me try it. And if it doesn't come through, okay, I'll just sing you a verse and chorus so that you can kind of understand a little bit of that. And I used to play the drums in school when I was in school. So that's what one of these lines is about as well. Hey, little drummer boy, don't you move too fast. You're swimming in the ocean, you're floating on the grass. Ain't no doubt about it, I hear the voices in my head, the words my mama said. Can't tell you where you're going, what you're gonna be when your music is flowing. You have found your higher ground. So something like that. I don't know if that came through okay, or if there's a lot of disturbance, but how is that?
So that was a lovely song. I'm sure we all enjoyed hearing you. On behalf of the Millennium School, I take this opportunity to thank Mr. Druv for his inspiring words. All the interesting analogies and advice that you have shared have had a great impact on all of us and have given us several important learnings and lessons to live by and implement in our lives. Being part of the music industry, you have inspired several young children to work hard in order to pursue their passion. I'm sure I speak on behalf of all of us present here in saying that we thoroughly enjoyed this very interactive session. We would like to thank you once again for gracing us with your presence, and we wish you all the best for your future endeavors.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I just say one last thing, which is I wanted to leave you guys with a quote, which is something that I'm doing when I'm speaking to young people. It's a quote from Mark Twain, and I think it's quite a beautiful quote, and he says, the two most important days in your life are the day that you are born and the day you find out why. So for me, that day came quite late. Now I'm stopping the quote, right? That was the quote, right? So the two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. What I would say is, don't be in too much of a rush to find out what your purpose is. Sometimes it comes to you very early in life. Sometimes it takes time. Keep peeling the onion. Keep understanding yourself. Make mistakes, learn different things. It'll come. It'll come, and it'll be a beautiful thing when you can actually find it, because it's a moment of pure joy which will guide the rest of your life.